All right, what's going on, everyone? Welcome to the first episode of the Angelo Carlos podcast. I'm here with AC. How's it going, man?
Good. Thanks for having me.
All right, so we always like to start the podcast off with a little intro. So I usually like to write you a rap, and we kind of go from there. So let me know what you think about this rap I got for you, AC.
Let's hear it.
AC, you ready, brother? All right. He's a true recruiter and straight shooter. He's got the drive to sign an L5. He's from the Bay and is giving out offers of $500K. The MVP of the Google Fit Basketball League. My drippiest and freshest colleague. It is way too hot in here. Let me welcome my first guest of the podcast, AC. What's going on, brother?
Hey, that was lit, man. Yeah, that's good.
I appreciate
Thank
you.
I appreciate that intro. No, that's awesome.
Of course. So, from my understanding, we're both from the Bay Area. You kind of we met within the Sunnyvale office, right, or in the Palo Alto office, where you were recruiting software engineers, correct?
Yes,
Yeah.
that's correct.
So why don't you kind of give me a little bit of background about the type of roles we recruit? So AC actually is a recruiter at Google. He specializes on the software engineering side, correct? So the technical side.
Yep.
Can you just give me a little bit more background about that, what you do?
Yeah, so I recruit for this big umbrella called Platforms and Ecosystems, and in that umbrella, there's a bunch of sub departments, and my main teams that I support is Pixel camera, Android. So a lot of these are like machine learning or low level software engineers, and I recruit pretty much software engineers at Google we call it L4 to L5. So really mid senior level IC engineers. So very impactful within the teams.
Got it. And then you mentioned the levels within Google and big tech. Would you mind kind of diving into that and then talking about what an IC is?
Yeah, so IC is an individual contributor, so pretty much your non-managerial type of role. And within tech, each company like Meta, Amazon, I'm not too familiar with like their leveling, but they have different levelings when it comes to software engineers. So for example, at Google, we go by L3 to L7, L8, L9. L3 is more like entry level, very fresh, recent graduate software engineer. L4 to L5 is really anybody with like 3 to 5 years to anywhere to like 15 years of experience. I personally have hired an L6 before. L6 is usually a manager or some sort of lead, but there are some high level IC roles as well as an L6. And then you have your L7s and up, like your L9s, the VPs and all that. Those are for definitely in a different league, but those are for a different team. But yeah, that's a little bit of a breakdown from my experience of like the leveling within Google.
No, that's awesome. And thanks for kind of breaking it down. I feel like especially in big tech, it's kind of hard to understand how leveling works because it's so different than working in a non-tech company. Usually most companies are just here senior, like principal, but then that's also kind of a factor in tech, but tech has leveling, and leveling is a huge part of how you actually get hired and the amount of compensation you get. I was wondering if you could demystify hiring for us, right? So how does it work when, say, a candidate applies to a role? What do you see as a recruiter? Like, take us from the top and then all the way maybe to offer stage. How does it kind of work?
Yeah, so there's multiple steps into it, and that's why they need us as recruiters to really navigate through these steps. So as a recruiter, as a candidate, you might run into a sourcer as well, which pretty much kind of handles the beginning stages of your application. So let's say a candidate applies in through a referral or through a link. Either a recruiter, myself, or like a sourcer will reach out to you and engage that activity in terms of just like going through like the what you're looking for, what we can offer, see if there's even like some sort of interest alignment there from both parties, and then from there just really as a recruiter I help you. Pretty much, I'll try to set you up for success. So Google, which I think is super cool. There's a lot of resources like, for example, I've used this. We use this program called the Champions program, where, you know, I set up after interviewing with a potential candidate, before their actual interviews. I set them up with a 30-minute, video call with one of someone that's been in a similar role, that's current Googler. So they can ask them any questions they like, as far as like what to expect on the interviews, what to expect from the team, what to expect when they first get started, anything like that you can leverage that time for. And pretty much as a recruiter, I set them up with like the types of interviews that they have. Obviously, there's many different types of SWEs or software engineers, and I have to make sure that it's aligned with, the correct team, the correct assessments, that they're going to be looking for, the correct hiring managers potentially, and then as a Google recruiter too, you try to set them up with some resources and things like that you send them so that they can review on their own. And then after the interview is done, depending on how well or you do on the interview, we can proceed to next steps. Which sometimes this could be the what's it called, like the bottleneck of the process, which is team matching. Mm-hmm. This happens in big tech a lot. I've heard TikTok, I've heard Meta, candidates kind of get stuck in this step, especially when there's like, nowadays where there's some hiring freezes or whatever the case may be. So if you do really well on the interview, but there's no team, you're going to get stuck at that. And you can be stuck at that stage for, a few months even. So yeah, basically the team matching, making sure that obviously you've kind of, at this point, a candidate has shown that they're, I guess, quote unquote, worthy. They did well enough to move forward. And then once a team is aligned and matched, you are then going to just have a conversation with the hiring managers, just making sure that the background, they kind of, you are able to kind of vet out the team and vice versa, to make sure everything aligns. And then from there, if it does align, then we move on to the offer stages. Now, the offer stages, that can take weeks too. It depends on if the candidate has counter offers or deadlines, and also timeliness. Like if it's like towards the end of the quarter, and maybe the headcount is going to be getting lost after the quarter is ending, so we have to expedite it. So it could either be really expedited or it could be a little bit longer. So it's really dependent upon, this. It's very situational. But as a recruiter, again, that's the type of stuff that we're experts on. That's what they pay me for, is to be an expert in that and in those processes, and just really doing right by the candidate as well as by the institution or Google in general. So yeah. So after the offer is done, and everything is signed, obviously in the offer we negotiate for the candidate as well. So a lot of times, candidates think that it's recruiters versus candidates, but it's really not. Recruiters, we're not incentivized, like by commissions or anything like that, but we do get tracked on like our OAs or offer accepts. So we definitely would love to get as many people hired as possible, because that counts towards our performance. So we're definitely not against each other. And during that offer stages, we're trying to negotiate equity, sign-on bonus, a reload package if they have to reload, and obviously salary. So there's a lot of different things that kind of goes into that. As a recruiter, you have to be well versed in that, just because, again, if they have counter offers, then you have to know, like, okay, well, they're offering that for you, but here at Google, many people don't know we do front-loaded equity. So we pretty much get all the equity, the breakdown of our equity isn't like 25% throughout 4 years. It's 33, 22, and 12. So, and then obviously, like, after your first or second year, you get a lot of refreshers. So you're getting a lot of that. And some things, on equity too, like other companies, they do quarterly or semester, whatever the case may be. But Google, you get vested monthly, so you get your money right away. It's kind of crazy, but yeah, I mean, those are kind of different things that goes into recruiting at Google in general, and the process itself, as you can see, is very situational. There's many different variables. It's not just one scenario and that's it. And that's what I'm an expert on.
No, that's fascinating. Yeah, thank you for breaking down by the whole process itself. I know it's super complicated in a sense where it's kind of like a mystic, there's a lot of mystique surrounding the process, especially you apply to a job, you never hear back, right? That's kind of the biggest thing. And then Google's process can take about 6-7 months sometimes, depending if you're on team match, then you got to negotiate your salary, and it's pretty crazy. With regards to someone trying to apply, right? I know when you send in your application, your resume through the Google Career website, right? Sometimes you never hear back, right? So can you guys give us an idea, like the sheer amount of applicants you're getting for one role, and then what separates that person who actually gets a call back from you? Do they go applicant tracking system? Do you actually screen them? How does it work?
Yeah, it's again a lot of variables that goes into it. I mean, especially now the market's very competitive, so like you're finding a lot of recruiters kind of short-staffed, and it's a bottleneck. So it's a little bit of everything, a little bit of luck. If you know someone, definitely use them as a referral, and have them follow up for you if you are experiencing delays. But sometimes the recruiters, they just don't have enough bandwidth to really just say no to someone, or to every single one. You look at the job postings, job boards now, like especially on LinkedIn. A job will get posted, after a day, and there's thousands of applicants on there. So, how feasible is it really to be able to respond to each and single one of them? So that's one of the factors. And then another one is just, as a candidate, you just want to be diligent and just consistent. Keep applying every time you see, like, turn your notification on. It sounds like I sound like a YouTuber, but yeah, turn your noties on those jobs, and every time there's a new posting, try to be one of the first ones. And obviously, like when you first apply in, if you're one of the first ones, you kind of get the sourcers or recruiters' attention a little bit better, because if there's only one position and there's 1,000 applicants, chances are, as a recruiter, we're probably going to stop reviewing after 10 good, like at max 10 good candidates. And some of the things that we look for in resumes is just really structure, experience, obviously relative experience is, I should say, is if you're applying as a software engineer and you have years of experience, you don't want your experience as a retail server or something like that from like years ago or 10 years ago. It doesn't really matter. And then obviously your degrees, or your college degrees, MBAs, or just masters, PhDs, things like that. Google, especially in big tech, Google, or especially Google, we definitely do take that into account, as far as just like, if you've completed your PhD, because I guess from a hiring manager's perspective, not me specifically, just because I'm not, I didn't go and get PhD or anything. I have a bachelor's, but a critical thinking of a PhD recent graduate compared to a bachelor's or master's is definitely on a different level, and I can definitely see that and understand that. I'm probably not I probably can't critical think as good as someone that is coming from a PhD, but yeah, I mean, those are some of the things that we look for. So keep it simple. I've seen resumes that's like 5 pages long. You don't really need more than 2 pages really, at max. So yeah, things like that.
Yeah, no, that's great advice, especially kind of going back to that, keep it at 1 page max, right? Big tech, they do value a lot of like the PhDs, the masters, especially if you had the education kind of after your bachelor. So that's always a great plus. But then you said the most important thing a lot is the job experience within the role, right? To see how relevant you are, to actually see if you can do well in the role, right? Because at the end of the day, if you've been working for a while, you start to understand that every job you go into, new job, I don't know anything, but they're trying to test the aptitude for you to learn that specific role, that specific skill. especially when you come into a new job. So that's exciting. Appreciate that, AC.
Yeah, of course.
I wanted to ask you about the interview process itself. So when I was interviewing at Google, I remember it was like initial phone screen with the recruiter, 5 to 6 rounds with a team, and then after that, my resume would get passed on to hiring committee. For me, very fortunate enough, I got all yeses from those 5 to 6 interviews, and then we were able to bypass hiring committee because it was all strong hires from my end. Right? Can you go over that process, from the I guess the chunk of it, right? After you finish screening with the recruiter, can you go over those 5 or 6 interviews that you go around with the people on Google?
Yeah, so sometimes there's even 2 layers before, or a recruiter's like a second layer. Sometimes you go through a sourcer will then pass it off to a recruiter, and the recruiter will then set you up for the interviews. And those interviews, depending on your level, could be anywhere from 4 to 5 rounds. And especially on a software engineering side, like I definitely think that it's definitely one of the toughest series of interviews there, and it's a day long. If you do it all in one day, you're definitely there's exhaustion is definitely going to be a part of it. Usually there is some cases where you can break it up into 2 days, but typically you just want to get everything done in one day, and then after that, like you mentioned, the hiring committee, like if you do well enough, and it's not like there's different levels. Like you mentioned strong hire. For more context, that's like the strongest grading system that you can get from your interview. There's like a high or leaning higher, and those things are like indicators of like your interviews. And then if you're getting like Angelo, if you get all strong hires, you then get to the privilege to bypass the hiring committee. But not everyone is like that, like Angelo. So
got lucky.
A lot of people are either on the fence, or they don't pass at all. And then the few that do pass, and they don't get like the strongest hire indicators, you can as a recruiter, we then try to make a case for them to let them know like, hey, this is why we feel like this person should be considered for an offer. We have the hiring manager and the director's backing, so sometimes we'll lean on like the hiring manager and the director to try to make a case, and like they'll pretty much like pitch like, hey, excuse me, they'll pretty much pitch like, hey, we understand they didn't do as well on these certain assessments, but this is going to be my training plan for this person for the first 6 months they come on board, to make sure we don't run into that problem. So those are some of the things that we go through on the back end, that sometimes recruiters are not always able to disclose these information.
No, that's beautiful. Thank you for kind of walking us through that whole hiring process, right? It's good to know that you can get the backing of a director, of the hiring manager, if they really kind of loved your interview and feel that you'd be a great fit for the team. I want to jump in now to negotiation, right? At the end of the day, we're kind of getting a job, and compensation negotiation is like a huge part of the interview process and when you start finishing up your interviews. So how does negotiation work? How many rounds of negotiation do you get? What's it like working with the compensation team? How can you get the highest offer? And how can you utilize competing offers? So like 4 big things there if you want to just jump in.
So just to answer some of that, I mean, competing offers, if a candidate has a competing offer, it's always just the easiest way to try to get a higher offer at any company. These tech companies, especially if you're at an offer stage, that means you're in one way or another, you're a hot commodity, and they're very competitive towards each other. So their mindset's like, we'd rather have you here and pay a little extra than have the competitor get the better of it.
Yeah.
So that's something that, if you have a competing offer, obviously it has to be written, it has to have your name, it has to have certain information that we just have to do our own due diligence on, make sure it's legit, because you'd be surprised, there's some out there that will try to scam their way for a better offer. And I get it, and you're trying to chase your own money, but still, so Yeah, and then there's a recruiter. We submit that to the compensation team, and they take that into consideration, and they try to either beat it or get close to it if it's insanely high, or just try their best to at least get close to it, and without being or with reason, meaning that they're not just gonna offer you that if it's already in the 99 percentile of like the comp packages, and it's because it wouldn't make sense for you to come in new and then like someone who's the same level as you is getting 30-50K less at the moment in the team, right? It doesn't make sense. So those are some of the factors. And then, like as far as as a recruiter, we try to get the most out ASAP, like the first time around. Unless like so, if you don't have anything else, right? If you don't have any competing offers or anything like that, as a recruiter, we will try to get you the best, compensation available, and then try to get that as best and final for you. Typically, when a recruiter says it's best and final, it's usually the best and final. Now, this is mainly just in tech, right? Because I've been in other industries too. Not to get too off topic, but sometimes like you can't really negotiate like within other, like with recruiters. In big tech, you definitely can. But again, there's always a limit.
No, that's great. That's great, AC. Yeah. So I'm hearing best and final is actual best and final for that specific offer. Some industries you can't negotiate, but it's also good to know that big tech you can negotiate, right? So always know you're given around 2 or 3 rounds of negotiation. Don't take the first offer you get within big tech, right? Because there is room to negotiate for that role. I've had times where I had to negotiate took me 2-3 weeks to negotiate at Google because I wanted to get a better offer. We were going back and forth with the recruiter. But always keep in mind the recruiter is on your team, right? So if you ever negotiate with AC is going to do the best he can to get you that best offer because his metrics as a recruiter are determined by OAs, offer acceptances. So if you accept the offer, it looks good on AC, right? He wants you to join Google. He wants you to join that team that he's recruiting for. So the recruiter is on your side. So when I say that, you guys need to be very, very kind, be very appreciative and grateful whenever you're negotiating on the phone with your recruiter because they're your ally, right? They'll go to bat for you, right? And the compensation team, not the hiring manager, the compensation team is the one that will be computing the numbers because they'll have access to see what level you are, what team you're on, who you're actually going to be working for, right? Like certain roles like AI, ML, they're going to be paying a lot more than say like front end, right? Because it's more of like a hot niche topic right now with the advent of all of this AI technology that's coming on board, right? So keep that in mind when you do negotiate, okay? All right, AC, thank you so much for all this kind of knowledge you gave about demystifying the interview process within Google, especially in big tech, right? I know each tech company is a little bit different, but a lot of them are very similar. For me, a little background about me, I used to work at Airbnb, and a lot of Airbnb's interviewing, recruiting principles, the hiring committee, a lot of it was taken from bigger tech companies like Apple, Meta, and Google. So that's why a lot of big tech companies have similar processes within recruiting. So keep in mind what you kind of learn here at Google that you just learned here, maybe something you see down the road with different tech companies that you do interview in, right? So AC, now we're going to get into like the kind of fun part of the show where we ask you some questions that are a little bit more fun and a little lighthearted. I'm a huge fan of Podcast P, aka Paul George, and he always does a starting 5 for NBA, right? Yeah. So you actually taught me this back in the day. So we're going to do the starting 5 of tech companies. This is our fantasy draft, right? I'll do my starting 5, you do your starting 5, but since you're our guest, I want you to go first. With the first pick of the tech company draft, who are you taking?
I know I'm at Google right now, but I'm gonna take Apple.
Oh, Apple's a good one, man.
Yeah.
That creativity is gonna be here forever.
Yeah, it's Apple's insane. The stability, the sustainability that they're doing. Yeah, for sure. Apple.
Great choice, great choice. So with my first pick, I gotta take Google. Love the culture, love the people, love the great minds are always around, and then it's like can't beat the free food, man. So
Oh, for
go
sure.
Google.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who you
No.
taking with your second pick?
Oh, I don't know. They're having some crazy new. I know they kind of dipped down a little bit, but they're kind of picking back up now, and they're having some crazy like new innovation with like the VR and stuff. So I'm gonna go with Meta.
Meta's a good one, man. Yeah, I think Mark and the team are really going hard into the whole AR VR sector, and
Hmm.
I think they're gonna do big things with that. So that's a good one. With my
Yeah.
second pick, I'm gonna go with LinkedIn. I think it's been huge. People trying to find jobs, especially like when they're starting their career, trying to transition in career, or just find a new role. So
Yeah.
I gotta go with LinkedIn, and I appreciate Reid Hoffman's vision for that and seeing how
Yeah.
it's
No.
growing.
LinkedIn's. Obviously, as I'm a recruiter, so I used it a lot, and
Yeah,
the evolution
yeah.
of it is kind of insane. Yeah, just from the last 6 years I've been in recruiting, yeah, it's I feel like it definitely has taken over like as a job board, like kind of just taking the industry from like Indeed, because Indeed was like the number one job board before. So I feel like LinkedIn's definitely up for grabs on that one.
That's a good one. Yeah, no, I agree.
Yeah,
It's definitely taken huge market share, and
yeah.
it's interesting to see where it's gone. All
So
right,
third pick, so we got
third pick.
Apple and Meta. Let's see. I'm
You
just
go with
gonna go with the
startups too.
Giants. Yeah, I'm just gonna go with
You go with
Giants
Giants.
right
Okay.
now. Um, I mean, they're a car company, but to me, it's still tech. I'm going this one. They own multiple umbrellas within different like industries too. So I'm just gonna go with it. I'm gonna go with Elon and
Ooh,
Tesla. Yeah,
Tesla. Oh, no,
yeah,
I agree with you, man. That's great. Great. Probably one of the best cars I've ever driven. Been
yeah. I know.
fortunate to
Yeah, I
drive.
know you've been through some. So yeah,
Yeah, huge fan, man. Good, yeah, good call on that, the Tesla. So since you went with Tesla, I'm gonna go with the Elon company too, aka X,
mm,
formerly known as Twitter. So we're gonna go with Twitter. Twitter's been a good company too, so we're gonna go with that.
okay, sounds good. Let's see, what else? So I got three now. I'm trying to. I mean, is there? I know it's not like quote unquote like good for the environment or whatever the case may be. I'm not as educated in this sense, but I'm gonna go with Amazon. They're
Ooh,
starting to do overnight shipping now, which is I just it's insane. Like they've just changed the market so crazily. Like two days was already insane, but now they're doing overnight shipping, and like it's becoming a little bit of a norm, and
yeah,
like I remember back then like a week was fast, so now convenience is just it's insane. So I'll go with
yeah.
Amazon.
No, that's a good one, man. Amazon's a good one, especially they do overnight shipping. Now sometimes they even do same day shipping if you have a certain threshold for your order. So
Yeah.
that's a good one, yeah. Well, I like the Amazon one. That was our fourth one. So for me, I'm gonna go with a fourth one right now. Something I've been using a lot, Netflix. Just been watching so much Netflix. So many great movies and videos coming out.
Mm-hmm.
So I gotta go with the giant out of Los Gatos, Netflix, and yeah, I'm excited to see how it's kind of grows from there.
For sure. My last
Last
one's
pick,
gonna be
man.
a dark horse. It's gonna be a startup, but it's it's on some Black Mirror type of vibe here.
Mm-hmm.
It's an Elon company too.
Oh,
One
okay.
of my friends actually work there right now as a
Oh,
recruiter.
wow.
But it's Neuralink.
Neuralink. Oh, it's a
Neuralink,
good
yeah,
one, man.
yeah,
Yeah. It's interesting to see how Neuralink's gonna grow for
yeah.
sure.
They're in human trials now. It's insane. They
Wow.
got FDA approved for that. So yeah, I'm sure they're gonna start shooting off here in the next couple of years.
Yeah, yeah, no, that's a really good one. I like the Neuralink aspect of things. For me, I think with my last and final pick, let's see. I gotta go with something that's like changed my life, and it has to be like Venmo. So, aka PayPal, Venmo,
Hmm.
under that umbrella. Just because money plays such a huge factor in this kind of economy we're in right now, and PayPal has been huge with sending money to friends, so has Venmo has been pretty
Yeah,
big too, in its acquisition of PayPal.
yeah,
So I want to go with that. Yeah,
yeah.
it's
No,
been
that's
top
fintech
five.
for you, man. Fintech, that's yeah, that's a big market. I feel like they definitely set that trend of like that type of like money transfers. Like now, obviously, you got Apple Pay and
Mm-hmm.
like Cash App
Cash App.
and Zelle. So Venmo is definitely the trendsetter there. So yeah, that's a
Yeah,
great pick.
yeah, appreciate you.
You know what's
And then
crazy?
uh-huh.
I mean, it's crazy because like if I had a six man, I guess no one really like
Yeah.
no
Go
one
your six man.
we
Who's
didn't
your
even
six
pick
man?
it. We didn't pick it. It's
Uh-huh.
crazy. It's like Microsoft kind of did a lot of crazy
Yeah.
stuff and like I feel like they've just been always like so low key. Um,
Mm-hmm.
they're not like headlines makers but they're still like they're still making all this impact and like obviously there's a lot of like competition with Microsoft and Google and they make each other better. So I'd say
Yeah.
that'd be my six man.
That's a good six man. I like that Microsoft
Yeah.
one, especially like a lot of the stuff you use, like Excel, PowerPoint,
Hmm.
it's been
Oh
here,
yeah, exactly.
Xbox, which is
Hmm.
crazy. So
Yeah.
that's a great six man. If I had to go with a six man, oh man, on the spot right now, oof, I would probably go with something new and fun. I feel like Databricks is big. Databricks is kind of growing a lot, and
Hmm.
it's exciting to see where they're going to go. They're like the darlings of tech industry. So
Hmm.
Databricks would be a good one for my six man.
For sure.
Yeah.
Cool.
Cool. And then I got another fun question for you. What is your favorite food at Google, like to eat? Like, what cafe or what kind of food did you love there?
So they have like steak days. Some days it's random, but yeah,
Mm-hmm.
their steaks are insanely good. And then I mean all their foods is honestly super good. But I remember I had Sierra tuna as well over there with some rice and
Mm.
stuff. So that was awesome. Yeah, definitely, really really great perks at Google. Super happy, with that. And but yeah, those are probably my top two.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
seared tuna steaks, those are delicious. For me, I
Hmm.
think I like the food trucks. Food trucks are great because like they're
Oh
legit food
yeah,
trucks.
oh
Yeah,
yeah,
and then you
that's
kind of
right.
get as much as you want, but
Yeah,
in moderation, of course, right?
for sure.
Yeah, and then last and final question. I think people need to know that you're actually a big basketball head. You're for me, you were the MVP of the GFit Basketball League. Can you talk about how you drop buckets and what the GFit Basketball League was for those who are kind of into sports and fitness, that especially after work, right?
Yeah, no, it's just pretty much a friendly league amongst Googlers.
Mm-hmm.
It's a great way to exercise, get ready to just increase the camaraderie in the community, and also it's a fun little competition. And you get to know like different departments that you didn't really know, or if you don't know anybody from, you get to know them a little bit more. And I've had people kind of just like come up to me randomly, just like just saying what's up, and people that we played against, and it's a great way to also just connect. And after like after you play, after a hard day's work, you go get some dinner. So yeah, but yeah, buckets, I don't know about that. I'm not that great.
humble,
I can
humble
shoot, but
guy.
yeah.
All right. Well, thank you, AC. And then the last thing, if you could give the viewers, the audience, any piece of advice that you give to yourself or just to anybody who wants to get into tech, what advice would that be?
Yeah, I guess just use your resources, be creative. It's creativity. It's harder. It gets harder every year because there's a lot more competition, a lot more newer ways to be creative, and just be consistent and persistent. So those are some of the things. And honestly, regardless if it's tech or just life in general, like you just gotta be persistent at it and keep going. So I'd say that's one of the things that because there's so many cases where like yeah, if you don't try, I guess like you're not losing much, or like that mindset of like, well, there's already like millions of people that's trying for the same thing that you're trying to do. But again, it's sometimes it's just, or I always believe in this quote, and and it's luck favors the prepared. So the more prepped you are, luck goes towards your way, then everything will fall into place. So that'd be my 2 cents.
Yeah, that's beautiful, man. I appreciate the advice you give to your subscribers, right? Because a lot of times, too, if you get this, I know people say it's a job, right? But a lot of times these jobs in tech can change your life, can change your family's life, like, right? They pay to upwards around $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 to come work somewhere, right? You can take care of your family, take care of the people you love. So don't ever give up. If it's your dream to get into big tech, keep applying, keep going for it, right? Because you're going to fail a ton. You're going to learn from those failures, and eventually you'll get to where you need to be. And AC, I appreciate that. That was a great quote. And thank you so much for being the first guest of the Angelo Carlos podcast, man. It's been an honor, man. So appreciate you. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me. This is so fun. Good luck with the rest of the next episodes. I'm looking forward to seeing all the content from your other guests.
Yeah, appreciate you, AC. And with that being said, thank you guys. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. We'll be posting a video every week, new podcast, new information, new advice to get you guys going into your career. So super excited for that. Please like, comment, subscribe, and thank you for watching the Angelo Carlos podcast. Peace. All right, thanks, AC. I'm gonna so for this last part, I'm just gonna do a thumbnail. So can you just look surprised and you're like, and then I'm gonna like that, yeah. And then I'm gonna create a thumbnail with that. Give me a second. All right, cool. Looks hella funny, bro. All right, perfect, cool, man. Thank you so much. I'll keep you posted when I film when I upload everything. I think I gotta
no worries.
do the edits, and then you'll see on the channel. I got 38 subs, bro. So
nice.
We're gonna grow, and then if it
it's your YouTube channel, right? I already subscribed to that. No?
Yeah. Oh, the 3,000 subs is the Tesla one. So I don't know if I should post it on the Tesla one or keep do a separate one for business stuff.
Oh yeah.
The algorithm is really favored for the Tesla stuff. So.
All right, you have 36 now. So.
Oh, 36 lit. Thank you, bro. Appreciate you following me. Cool. And then before I post it, I'll I don't know, I can tag you and whatever.
No worries. Just I trust you. Just do your thing. It's your channel, so.
Okay, cool. And if you ever start something, bro, I'm down to jump on.
All right, for sure. Thanks, bro.
All right, Bogey. Peace.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Man.
Later.
Yep.